Hello guys, it's Simon here, and welcome to a new little series that I'm going to be doing. It's going to be sort of a little deep dive into the lore of Wizard101. Some of the lore pieces that you might not have realized and might not have learned about, and you guys get to learn firsthand. So, the first episode today is going to be more about... I'm in Wizard City. I'm going to be side questing in the background while we do this. So, let's talk about Krokotopia and the Manders. And I'm going to sort of talk you through and give you a little bit, whoops, let me pause this video in the background. If you heard that, I'm very sorry. But the reason why I want to do this is so you guys get to learn a little bit more about the world that you are playing through. So, let's start from the beginning. Before, we're even in Krokotopia. So, Krokotopia was once solely a Mander occupied territory. It was only ruled by the Manders. Don't know how much of the stuff was here, like the Krokotopia, the pyramid, the Tomb of Storms and stuff like that. I'm not sure what was here and what wasn't. So, by the time, so we don't really know a lot about that. But what we do know is that the Crocs at one point were not even on this world, and then they were searching for new land, or something like that. And they were traveling, and they got weary, tired, weak. I'm talking about the Tuts. And what ended up happening was you would have the Manders would find these people coming upon their land. Now, due to the Mander's carefree nature and caring nature, what ended up happening was that the Manders would, of course, bring in the Crocs and take care of them. Unfortunately for them, it only led
Please, save us from our eternal enslavement. Even in the afterlife, we are still bound to serve our master.
Looking here,
save us from the Soul Keeper.
The Manders of old that were here were enslaved by the Crocs once the Crocs were upright and healthy. They enslaved all of them due to their carefree. Due to the friendliness of the Manders, the Crocs became their masters. Unfortunately for them, it wouldn't be, so they would live under their fist. Now, the Pyramid of the Sun and the Manders that served the pyramid were of fire origin and hence became orange. The Krokotopia is ice, so they became ice. The Tomb of Storms is storm, so purple.
Fool! You think you can
And it
just
wouldn't
come
be
in here and
until
take my
that
Manders? They are mine for
the day when the Order of the Fang wrote the Croconomicon, a powerful book of life and death magic. And at some point, they must have found out that, they must have found out a way to put the Tuts to sleep and try to save the Manders. Now, we don't really know a lot about it. All we know is that, the four core members of the Order of the Fang, General Kaba, Kayamate the Great, Shalit the Wise, and Alhazred, the Balanced Professor, all at some point must have decided to create the Order of the Fang, write the Croconomicon, and then also help the Manders by inducing the Great Sleep. Now, whatever this Great Sleep was, it must have definitely had effect on pretty much all of the Crocs that were in this world. So, the Tuts, for who knows how long, were then put to sleep. And here they slept for a good long while. Now we will move to So we now know a little bit about what happened to the Manders, why they were, and then how they got enslaved, and then what caused them to be free for a while. We're now going to move on to the different families of Krokotopia. And by the families, I mean the fire, ice, and storm places. Now the two that the Narinis, we don't really have a lot of backstory on them. Same thing with the Sakwis. But in the Tomb of Storms, there are two family tombs. The Jesuits and the Onyx. At one point, they were the two dominant families of the Tomb of Storms. Or the Storm.
Thank you for freeing us, young wizard. All of us within this chamber can now go to a peaceful afterlife.
So, what ended up happening is, for a while, they lived in prosperity, and the Onyx and the Jesuits married each other. So, the queen of the Jesuit family and probably the king of the Onyx married together, and you had a, or maybe it's Shemin, I'm not sure. Maybe the Onyx person was afterwards, I'm not sure. But it would make sense if the Onyx person married Queen Irisi.
You freed this. A million blessings upon you and your skills, Master Wizard.
Either way, at some point, Queen Irisi would pass away. And unfortunately for the two families, there was a new powerhouse. There was a new powerful family that was on the rise, the Koronans. The Koronans were the third Storm family. I don't know how they ended up becoming, if they were here at the original point, or they just sort of became more prominent later down the line. Either way, the Jesuits and the Onyx would be astounded when at some point it was insisted that Queen Irisi get buried inside the Onyx family tomb.
You take a rubbing at the statue's base.
This was probably so that the Koronans could have all the power in the storm place in the Temple of Storms for themselves. And that would work out quite well, as the Onyx and the Jesuits would go to war with each other, destroying each other and leaving all the spoils and everything else to the Koronans and Krokopatra.
You found writing relating to the Chamber of the Chosen. Alas, I cannot translate this.
So, at some point,
this uses glyphs I do not recognize.
Krokopatra and
Talk with Tinu Bakmal. He is
of course,
more familiar with such
became
things.
The highest or strongest ruling Tuts. Now, the Onyx and the Jesuits obviously still hate each other, even in death. Because you can find when you talk to them, when you start their little side quest, if you do the side quest, they'll both ask to show your loyalty to that single family by destroying something, by destroying the enemy, which is the opposing family. But you can also right the wrongs by killing the spirit of Queen Irisi, getting her remains, and then taking them back to the rightful owners, to the Jesuits. So you can set it correct, which is actually quite heartwarming when you also realize that now the spirits will stand against Krokopatra, because they finally figured out that it was Krokopatra and the Koronans that insisted that they bury Queen Irisi in the wrong tomb to begin with.
You find the hallway blocked. Report this.
So, now let's get into the Great Sleep and what would happen that led up to the present day when we get here, Krokotopia. So, the Order of the Fang wrote the Croconomicon, of course, and they were also had sympathy for the Manders and wanted to try and free the Manders from their slavery. So, there was probably a plan to cause the Great Sleep, which would officially put all the Tuts to sleep and free the Manders from their enslavement. Fortunately, it would work, but to the dismay, it would put asleep some prominent members. Kaimate the Great and General Kaba would both be affected by the Great Sleep.
Oh no! The lower hallway leading to the Chamber of the Chosen is blocked? Wait.
So, what we would see now is, let's move, and now the Manders are finally free. Now, I don't know how long time has passed, but soon the Marlebonians would finally find a way to get to Krokotopia by traveling. So, by this time, everything is finally sort of peaceful. And then the Marlebonians show up.
Yes, you can get to the
But,
same place through one of the
unfortunately
doors in the
for
Chamber
them,
of Fire. Just turn
while they
right
started
at the first
excavating,
intersection.
somebody
Nothing of
else
value in
would
there.
show up. And who would that be? It would be none other than Malistaire Drake, looking for the Order of the Fang. So, what he would do is undo the Great Sleep, awaken. He probably did. Now, my theory is he might have sort of messed with how the Marlebonians started excavating stuff, and that would then, in turn, wake up the Tuts.
It has been a while since someone has challenged us. It will be a
he
pity
just
to
woke the
defeat
Tuts
you
up
so
while they were
quickly.
excavating.
Prepare for battle, wizard.
And then, of course, that means the Manders would get re-enslaved by their masters again. He would awaken the three main heads of the three different areas. The Narinis and, of course, Crockett Common would be ruling over the pyramid, along with the many princes of Kori, Ito, Nebit, Manu, Binti Narini, the Narini Quartermaster. The list goes on. Shy. Then, of course, you have the Ice Place, ruled by Krokotopia. And also, it seems like he may have also been part of the Order of the Fang, seeing that he has a golden scarab in his possessions. So he might have worked for the Order, but then was controlled by Krokopatra at some point. Not sure about that. Either way, after that, you would then see,
You pick.
of course, there is the other princes inside, which is Kebi, Sutton, and then, of course, you have Aji, Itenyu, the Sakri family, and the Crocosphinx. And then, of course, lastly, you have the Storm Place, ruled by Krokopatra and her Karanans, and the Karanan family.
The lost.
Since the Onyx and the Jesuits are, of course, dead. So all that work that the Order of the Fang did to try to make sure that the Manders would not get enslaved had been undone by Malistaire and his plans.
Hello there. It's pretty lonely
And
out
now
here.
we get to
I was wondering if you could do
hear-
me a favor. I heard there was this interesting book about Manders at the
And,
library.
of
Do you
course,
think you could get it for me?
we need to go and fix everything. Unfortunately. Now, the idea that, you know,
You need a book about Manders? Let me check for you.
anyways,
Ah, that book is on loan to the Wizard City Library. That book is on loan to the Wizard City Library.
now,
You will have to go there to get it.
there's one part of the lore that is very important to this story, and it is inside the Chamber of the Chosen, which I was just in there if you watched. But what we're going to do is we are going to go back into the Chamber of the Chosen, and we are going to go to that pedestal after killing the minions. And then we are going to listen to the the history of the Manders, or something like that. There's a prophecy written for the Manders, or about the Manders. And I think it is interesting because let's go ahead and go read it. Because as you know, there is a recurring theme. There is a reoccurring theme inside. Oh, wait. Oh. Okay. Alright, let's resume. Okay. Let's go take them on again here. There's a reoccurring theme in all the different areas. And that theme is freeing the Manders in each place. You free them there's a side quest where you free the Manders in the pyramid. You know, from Salam and Bendur, that's what that is. Then of course you have the freeing the Manders inside of Emperor's Retreat as part of the dungeon. And then there's a side quest inside of the Tomb of Storms in the Quranan Barracks given by Salid Kafir, or Salid Kafir. I think that might be what the name is pronounced. But all three of those have you freeing the Manders from from a single mastermind of some sort. And then, of course, there's a whole dungeon named the Tomb of the Gyler that is sole focus. The final boss is somebody who turns the Manders of all forms of ice, fire, and storm into slaves by beguiling them. Anyways, let's go ahead and read this. I'm going to turn the dialogue up so you can listen to it.
History of the Mander race. For thousands of years, the Mander race lived in harmony and peace. Then one day, a piece of floating earth showed up near the oasis. This piece of floating earth contained Crocs, who were tired and hungry from their trek. They were fed and their needs attended, but soon they began to take advantage of the Manders' hospitality. Soon they began to unleash their powers and cruelty upon the Manders. And from then on, the Mander race has lived under the tyrannical rule of the Crocs. The Manders believe that one day, a person of great power will come and throw off the shackles of the Crocs. The Manders will once more live free.
Now, after reading that, who is that person of great power? Well, if you haven't guessed, the person of great power that can free the shackles of the Manders is you. The young wizard that just came from Wizard City is the savior of the Manders. You are the one who is tasked to save them. All of them. From the shackles of the Tuts. That is why, until now, the Manders have lived under the rule of the Tuts, because there has been nobody strong enough to outright defeat them until you show up. Which, you wouldn't know that you were that person of great power unless you did this side quest and tied 2 and 2 together. So, that is something that, that is what, the lore of the game gives you. The lore of Krokotopia, in a sense, is it was once owned by Manders. The Crocs came on a piece of Earth, tired from their trek. They were nursed and helped back to health by the Manders. The Crocs then took advantage of the Manders, enslaved them, and then, of course, the Great Sleep was did upon the Tuts by the Order of the Fang, and by the... But that is not the great power, the person of great power from the book of the history of the Mander race. The Order of the Fang is a group of people, not one person. Now, Alhazred may have been able to do it. Unfortunately, he's oldish and probably would get defeated quite easily. But the Order of the Fang would be lucky enough to find somebody to help them out. You become part of the Order of the Fang. You save the Manders. You are the person in the book, the person of great power that would throw the shackles away. Now, I hope this little lore video is interesting to you guys. I hope you guys, sort of appreciate, that, hey, you're the Mander savior. You've saved an entire race of people by just defeating the Crocs. And I hope that this gives you an idea to maybe go and read the books that you find inside of the book pedestals that are, that sort of give like the history lessons of the different places. You'll start seeing them in Marleybone, starting in Marleybone, where you get book quests, where you go and find book pedestals inside of certain boss areas. You read them, you get a little bit of the history of different places. Now, I do not have access to the Onyx and Degenerate thing, so I will probably have to cover that in a different video. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this little lore video about the Manders, Krokotopia as a whole. Be sure to check out the full game playthrough, and check out the rest of my content. I'm going to be uploading more content to my channel that's going to be more variety of games, including New Vegas, Fallout 4, and Skyrim. Maybe some Fallout 3 mixed in, and some other games. But until then, have a great rest of your day. See you guys next time. Make sure to like and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.